Hi, my name is Paula Thompson, and this is a brief introduction to the Urantia Book. Perhaps you've heard of this book, perhaps not, but I hope in the short time we have together, I can give you a reason to sincerely look into it. I've studied it fervently for over 3 decades. The only other experience I've had that equals its value for life transformation is having raised my 3 children. I absolutely can't imagine who I would be without my children, and I equally can't imagine my life without the Urantia Book. For 30 years, this book has been my spiritual touchstone. It has given to me more than I can begin to express. Some words have no meaning, but reading this book is a meaning that has no word. I wish I had a word for it, something that expresses what it has meant to me and countless others I know who have read it. I just don't have one, at least not one that is good enough to express what it means to me. Even so, I'm here today to attempt to share it with you because I believe it's that important. After all, if you knew about this magnificent book that made such a difference in your life, and I didn't, I certainly hope that you would find the courage to tell me about it. You might ask, why does it take courage to tell someone about this book? Well, many people's first question is, who wrote it? We ask this question because we are looking for credibility. This is the first acid test we apply to any book we might want to read. However, with the Urantia Book, the only way you will know who wrote it is by reading it. This is true mostly because the book is a collaboration of many authors spanning a great deal of time and distance. The authors of the book do reveal who they are as you read it, but for the most part, they remain anonymous. So if you want to add credibility to the book by knowing exactly who wrote it up front, I have to say I'm sorry. That's not possible. With this book, you have to read it to decide if you think it's credible. In a way, that's the price of admission. Even so, the book takes you on such an amazing voyage of discovery. I think you will find that it is well worth the effort. Each chapter, or in some cases a group of chapter, or papers, as they are called in the book, were sponsored by a person who at the time was uniquely qualified to teach that subject. Oh, and one more interesting thing about the authors of the book. Many of them openly admit that they are not from this world. They claim to come from all over a vast universe, and that they came to our world with an express purpose. Among other things, they list 3 primary goals: to present enlarged concepts and advanced truth, to expand cosmic consciousness, and to enhance spiritual perception and cosmic insight. Yes, you heard right. This book of 196 comprehensive chapters on God, Jesus, angels, humanity, history, religion, science, philosophy, and life on this planet claims to be written and compiled to a large degree by beings that are not from this world. I don't expect you to believe that. You haven't read it, but I believe it. Why? Well, it starts when I was a child of 10. I had an epiphany about life on other planets. You see, I was in love with science fiction, especially science fiction that depicted that there's life on other planets. One sci-fi show that was really popular at the time was called Lost in Space. One day after watching the show, I became disgusted at the plot. I thought, this is stupid. It's always the same story. They crash land on a planet, battle a monster as they work to fix their ship, overcome the monster, and get away into space, only to crash on a different planet and battle a new monster. Immediately when I thought this, I remember thinking, there can't be just monsters everywhere in the universe. I'll bet the universe has beautiful and peaceful beings that don't come to Earth because they know that in our terrible fear, we would try to hurt them. Yeah, that makes sense. We're the monsters. Maybe we are so violent that they don't come here. I got lost in that thought, and I decided that at least half of the inhabited planets in the universe had beings that are not only better than we are, but far better. Even as a child, I just knew that there is intelligent life on other worlds. I know I'm not alone in that belief. In fact, many surveys show that 60% of people polled believe that. The Urantia Book is the most compelling evidence I've ever found to support that belief. The pureness of its intellect, its candor and humbling but loving admonitions, its stark portrayals of the grandeur of deity, its insightful understanding of the human condition, its organization, its internal integrity, its prose and poetry, its liberating truth. Really, if you hunger to know God, to comprehend spirit, and to understand our human condition, I can't imagine that you will find a more compelling or comprehensive revelation of truth. If the Urantia Book does not present the way things are, then it presents the way things ought to be. As I began reading it in the front, and the first 5 papers on God, I was immediately intrigued that millions of inhabited worlds totally affirm the greatness of God the Father, the Creator of all, the first great source and center of things and beings. It was amazing to hear why they adore and worship our Heavenly Father, the same one Jesus came to reveal to us. Are you ready to know that you are not alone in the universe? Are you ready to become a cosmic citizen? Are you still with me? I know that this is a lot to take in, and if you find you can't do it, it's okay. Many people can't. The Urantia Book is certainly not easy, but it's really worth the effort. Nothing of this import could ever be easy. But I discovered when I first picked it up some 34 years ago that the more I read it, the easier it was to read. That is, as I read, it began to unfold like a great cosmic puzzle, with each new piece bringing more wholeness to the picture. It was laying out before me. Many times I sat enthralled, spontaneously worshiping the Creator of all, with tears of joy streaming down my face. This is because the affirmation and validation of what it was telling me went so deep into my soul. However, if it's not for you at this time, as I said, that's okay. The good news is that what it presents to you is a gift. There are no strings attached, and nothing is expected of you. There are no dire consequences for not reading this book. No hell or eternal damnation. No, I'm going to go and get eternal rewards and you're not because God likes me best. In fact, the authors vigorously refute such notions that God likes some of His children but not others. They reiterate often that God is no respecter of persons. They refute God as an offended monarch, a stern and all-powerful ruler whose chief delight is to detect his subjects in wrongdoing and see that they are adequately punished. They tell us candidly that every religion contains truth and that no one religion has all truth. They gently remind us that we don't know everything. Indeed, we don't know much at all. In the end, the Urantia Book is just a book. You can get it at libraries and bookstores, online at Amazon.com. I have no way of knowing if you'll read it or not. For me, it's like a love letter from the universe, given to humanity for the greatest of all reasons, because we are truly loved by our Creator, and because we are ready to hear what it has to say. We are as little children in the universe. There is so much we don't know, and the entire universe is able and ready to help us grow, but not until we're ready. The book candidly tells us that during the 20th century, our technology grew and developed much faster than our wisdom to use it lovingly and wisely. In this respect, humanity is rather like a 5-year-old wielding a loaded gun. The book tells us that this world is ours to create and ours to evolve. They don't ordinarily interfere with God's greatest gift to us, the gift of free will. But it assures us that they will not allow us to obliterate ourselves. We are beloved members of an extraordinary universe family. We are not alone. We never have been. They want us to know that we live in a friendly and well-ordered universe. They want us to know how much value they put on us, so that perhaps we'll begin to put value on each other and create a true brotherhood of man. I mentioned Jesus earlier, and I would be remiss not to take this chance to express that his entire life and teachings are presented in the book. The last third of the book is about Jesus. In fact, the whole book is about him as it reveals him past, present, and future. It takes him out of the context of 2,000 years of theology about him and portrays him as the superlative ambassador of God that he was. If you long to know more about him and be like him, as I always have, you won't be disappointed. What we got in the Bible was the divine Jesus who worked miracles, but this story gives us also the human Jesus who lived as a man among men. If he wasn't your hero before you read this account, he most certainly will be after you read it. The Urantia book is not for everyone, as I said, and I'm not here to tell you that it is. But if you have ever pondered difficult questions like, does God really exist? What is the purpose of my life? Why does God allow suffering? What's going to happen to humanity? Is our civilization really coming to an end? Is there really life after death? What happens to us after we die? Is there intelligent life on other worlds? Why do bad things happen to good people? Why do prayers sometimes seem to go unanswered? What can I do to make the world a better place? How can I find happiness? If you have asked these questions, I think you will find that there are satisfying answers to these questions and so many more in the Urantia book. If you really long to know the truth, it really is out there.
The teachings of the Urantia book have given me a very good glimpse into life after death.
There is no end. It's just an endless, wonderful, supernal adventure of discovery and growth.
I look at other people in the world as brothers and sisters. I understand the idea that that God that's in me is also in them. They're different than me, we're very diverse, but there's a unity of one Father.
When I found the book, I realized that I could be a follower of Christ and maintain my spiritual freedom, and it just filled me with joy.
What I really enjoy about it the most is that it helps us to find the truths that lie in all religions and the things that unite us all together.
I don't know of any question that I have had before that was not answered in the Urantia book.
Just to discover ourselves, it made me feel better. It confirmed many things. It made me feel like celebrating life. I feel alive. I come alive with the Urantia book.
The Urantia book is more than what 100 geniuses could do in 100 years.
What can I say? The Urantia book really unlocked the secret to some of the toughest issues in my life.
To know God and to have God in my life, because he just meets things, most all of my needs. You know, I don't think I'd even be here if it weren't for the Urantia book and for God in my life.
The Urantia book has changed my life and given me a broader scope. You know, I'm much more open-minded. You know, I'm much more at peace with myself and my connection with the Father. I have more love in my life. I have more peace.
The teachings of the Urantia book have expanded my life beyond measure, because I live not only today in this moment, but I live always with the subtle awareness of eternal life.
Did you ever want to really know what was behind everything, the reasons why we do things, the reasons why we think the way we do, what all the religions are about, why there's all this confusion in the world, what all the planets are about, and all this talk about other worlds and everything. Did you ever really want to know what's behind all the religions? Why we all seek to know a God in all various forms? Well, this book explains it in detail.